edition of Crucible and Cognac, the evening KeyForge gameplay and interview show. Today I have with me a good pal from my local scene, Jens, who goes by Jersl, as you can see by his username here. And we're just going to have a conversation about KeyForge and jam a game using the other two mass mutation decks that were not showcased in the previous episode with Sky Jedi. So Jens, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing very well. I hope I forged my keys promptly and that my ember's not stolen. So, pretty excited.
Yes. Let's just take a look at the list here. So, yes, in my list, I do not see a way to steal your ember. Oh, I have one card to steal your ember, sir. So that may be a very true statement because it looks like there's only Dimension Door.
Yeah, so I can cross my fingers and hope for it.
Yeah. So yeah, let's kind of just go over the decks here slightly. Do you know much about them?
I don't know too much about them. I've seen them be played a few times, but I haven't played this one that I'm playing. I'm excited to test it out and see how it works.
Do you see that there is a oh, that's really cool. So there's a Maverick Matter Maker in Sanctum, and that's the crazy upgrade.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 champion Anaphales in the deck, but one of them comes from an exchange officer, which I guess if you have an exchange officer, it's always a Maverick, right? That's the way that deck works.
Yeah, that's right. If you have an exchange officer, it switches with someone else. That's right.
All right, so triple Anaphale, that seems silly. Subject Kirby, I've never seen that card yet. I don't think I've actually ever played this deck before, or seen it for that matter, looking at the list here. But this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And then I'm playing with the Ducilius. I like how the card number beside it is 1,000.
It's the biggest card you can find.
Yeah, 1,000. This one's pretty cool. I like Mind Over Matter. I'm pretty excited to see that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Quixel Stone I feel will be very powerful in this matchup.
Absolutely. It seems like both decks are pretty creature heavy, so that'll certainly change things.
Yeah. And draw out the game so we can talk longer.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get into it here. Why don't you first tell me what you're sipping on this evening?
I am sipping on a Canadian classic, some Miller High Life, and some Clamato juice.
Nice. Yeah. I'm enjoying also a Canadian drink because it's Empress Gin, which is locally distilled in Victoria with some tonic. And it's the craziest gin. It's actually like this deep, like purpley blue color. And then when you add lime to it, it becomes like more of like a pinkish purple. And it changes colors based on your mix. And it is smooth as can be. I love it.
Sounds delicious. I'll have to try it sometime.
It's a little bit more premium. I got it as a gift, but it is delicious and worth it.
I do like my gin, so that's definitely something I'll have to look into.
All right. So let's start playing a game and get going here. So why don't we start off? You know how this goes. Tell everyone a little bit just about you, like how you got into KeyForge, what you like. People may be familiar with you because you have been on Help from Future Self, but
yeah, for sure. Basically, I got into KeyForge. I wanted to start playing a game of some sort, and so I started researching various games by looking up rules, how the game was played, watching streams and that kind of stuff. And I came across KeyForge over YouTube. I saw something on YouTube about KeyForge, and I got sort of hooked into watching it on YouTube. And from there, began to do some research into the game, and really fell in love with the idea of this game being a sealed deck game where you can't decide how the deck is going to go. So that kind of interest me, because it's, to me, that really, in terms of competitive card gaming, sort of leveled the field, right? There wouldn't be that net decking.
Mm-hmm.
There wouldn't be all that other stuff. So, for someone who was sort of getting back into gaming after having not played in a very, very long time, the idea of just being able to pick something up and play was really, really exciting. And then, decided to come out to the various events that we run in the city, and fell in love with not only the game, but also the community that we have here in Vancouver. And that's just kept me going.
Nice. Very nice. Um, sorry, I'm showing that the internet is just dog poop right now. There we go. Fixed it. I had a browser open that was causing it to. It said something like 5,172 milliseconds was what it was functioning at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's dropped down to 162.
Perfect.
Why won't it let me choose a card? There we go.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep. Very
Fantastic.
Hold on a second, guys. I gotta refresh. This is not going very well right now for me. It's still has it dropped on your side?
I'm at 147.
Mine just jumped to 14,900, and it just said choose a creature to damage due to the bonus icon. There's no creature. Uh-oh, the game just broke.
Uh-oh. We've broke KeyForge.
Hold on a second here. Okay. Sweet. We may have to start over. Like, it literally wants me to choose something that does not exist.
Yeah, goodness.
Luke, are you watching right now? I need your help.
Fix this. You're our only hope.
Okay, let's try manual mode and see what happens. There we go. Cancel prompt. Okay, we're good.
Excellent.
I'll send Luke this video footage so he knows what's going on. Okay, so that's my turn. So what was the first strategy card game that you played? Did you play one like a CG card at all, or
yeah,
a CG game?
Yeah, I did in sort of the early 2000s. One of my friends got me playing sort of late in its development the Star Wars CCG, and so I was playing that, but I used a very similar strategy as KeyForge. When I went to a tournament, I went and bought two like sealed decks and just decided to play in the tournament without really knowing what was going on, and kind of learned the game that way, which was a really interesting strategy, but was really fun to do. So yeah, that was my first CCG was the Star Wars CCG, and then I played Lord of the Rings by Decipher as well a bit after that.
Oh, nice. So you mentioned when you got into the game, like the reason why you liked it was because of the lack of net decking, and I just was curious. What is kind of like your thoughts on the game? Like when you got into it, were you under the impression? I talked about this with Sky Jedi last episode when we talked about things you could change. What was your like? Were you under the impression that there was a level of parity between the decks, or did you always know that there was like a power difference that existed?
I mean, yeah, I kind of came in the game thinking that there would be parity between the decks, because I thought that kind of made sense. But I guess with an algorithm, it does somewhat make sense that there is going to be a power difference, and it's not just going to be, every deck is going to be on the same level. So that does makes that now that I've played the game, that does make sense. But when I first got into it, certainly, yeah, I thought that every deck I would buy would give me a fighting chance, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I thought that was kind of strange because I think it's the way it was positioned within the like just the general discussion of it. Like there was just this understanding, like, oh, you only need one deck to play, and I think that made people think like if you only have one deck to play, that must mean that it's viable to play, and unfortunately, that was not the case.
Yeah, I think it's been referred to by our pal Alex or Scuzzy Gruen as the biggest lie in KeyForge.
Yes, it could very well. That makes a lot of sense. So next question I have for you is, what is your favorite card to play? And has the card changed over time, or has this always been your favorite card to play?
Since I've started playing, my favorite card to play is probably Merkins. I don't know why. I think it's because it's sort of like that luck of the draw of you get to interact with with your opponent's deck, and you get to play that card immediately. And so it can mess up your opponent's strategy. It can really help you. It just is a super exciting card because you really don't. You of course have an idea of what's going to happen, but if you're playing sealed, you really don't know what's going to happen. It could be anything. So it's very, very exciting for me. That kind of mechanic is really, really exciting, as it can really change the way the game goes and how you may play.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to think of that card, because I do like those cards. Like they're fun. Like it's like a wild wormhole in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you have a favorite house?
Yeah, my favorite house is probably Untamed.
Really? Has it always been that way, or is it like because of Coda, or is it something that just every set you find you enjoy it, or is it because of a particular set that's existed?
It's every set that I've enjoyed it. It seems to be a house that is always in the decks that I'm playing. So yeah, it seems to be the what I'm drawn to, and it's not always rush decks or anything like that. I started playing in AOA and didn't really get into Coda until a while after I began to play, and even then I was being drawn to Untamed with the various mechanics it has. I even really like it in Worlds Collide. I think it's really fun and really exciting of the different ways you can get Amber. I enjoy the way, in order to kind of make an Untamed house work, you really need to play in such a way that you're building towards an Untamed turn. So it's not, yes, often when you play an Untamed turn, it's just putting cards down, but you have to play the game and craft the way you play the game in such a way that you are being very careful in terms of what you're doing to get to that point and to pull off that strategy. You can't just kind of, Untamed doesn't work very well if you put down an Untamed creature here or there or whatever. So you have to sort of build your game in such a way as to make it effective.
Interesting. Not only interesting, but it's interesting because you discarded Dance of Doom.
It did.
Double Doom. Which one's that? Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Jerk, you discarded the card I was really excited to play.
I apologize.
But not really.
No, I'm really glad you didn't play that. That'd been horrible.
Okay. Have you found like you have a house that you always pull? Like when you're opening decks, like it feels like, why do I keep getting this house? Like it's always here.
Yeah, I think these days it seems to be I'm pulling quite a lot of Logos. That seems to be
Okay.
Seems to be the deck or the house that I'm constantly pulling, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Logos is super fun to play. So yeah, it seems a lot of Logos, it seems.
Okay, I would not be disappointed with that.
No, certainly not. How about yourself?
Lately I feel like I hit a Brobnar patch for a while. It was like I hadn't, but I honestly felt like I hadn't hit any for a really long time. So in a way, it was kind of this amazing blessing that just came to light. Like it was like your time's up. You got to pay your dues. Yeah. Okay, so I got both halves in the graveyard, and Novu Dynamo went in with it off the Saurian egg. That's kind of a cool thing to do, actually. I like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I realized if I did it when I had more creatures than you, it would literally just be like, nope.
Yeah.
Not
happening.
Yeah. Damage your creature with 2 splash. Let's do it like that. There we go. This is getting silly now. Okay. So let's move on to what we actually got together to discuss, and that is the fact that this past weekend, or I guess last weekend would be the best way to describe it, is you actually decided to host a online tournament for our local scene And why don't you tell everyone what was the format you decided?
Yeah, we decided to play short adaptive, so adaptive best of one. And then we had a top cut, and in the top four, we played a full adaptive match.
And why did you choose that one, Jens? Like, what was your thought process?
We've had in our local scene, we had a lot of fun playing sealed adaptive, and so I thought it would be cool to bring something like that to the online game that we're playing, and allow that to happen with sort of more of an Archon twist. So I thought that would be an interesting way. It allows people to still bring decks of various powers. It gives you the ability to sort of look at an Archon card and decide what you want to play, and it gives you the ability to work on bidding chains. So all things that I think are really fun to do.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a great way of putting it. Oh my goodness. That's a great Maverick card. Super random. Do you notice that there's like a double Maverick symbol on there?
Yeah, that's really
I
cool.
wonder if that's a coding thing or if that's just.
It's just so good that it has a double.
Yeah, it's actually a 2x Maverick. It's supposed to be in two different. It was actually originally supposed to be in Dis, and then they decided to Maverick it again into something.
That's right. Double Maverick.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't read. Wow, you've really made this a pickle, I must say. And that's as far as that damage goes. Let's go. See if I can draw something that helps. What just happened? Oh, capture.
It's got a capture icon, old QMX.
It does. Like these. What do you think of the enhance? Like, what's your thought on that? I'm really curious.
I think it's super cool. I think it makes every deck even more unique. I think it gives people, even more things they have to play around. So maybe it'll up the randomness. I don't know, but I think it's a really, really cool feature. And I think it just gives even more strategy to the game in many ways.
I actually did happen to draw an amazing card with that top deck, I must say.
Excellent.
I just cloned your Barrister Joya.
Ooh.
It actually took everything about it. Because it's a 3-powered armor, so it took everything with the card. The upgrade somehow stuck with it. I don't understand how that works. That must not be right.
Because an upgrade is you add that to the creature, generally?
That must be what it is.
Yeah. That's super cool.
That's interesting. That was... can we just stop now? I feel like I've won.
That's it. The game's over.
That was cool. I like that. That was a fun play. Am I sure I want to end my turn? Why? Oh, because of the stupid Omni ability. Okay. Yes, I am sure. So how did you feel about the short adaptive experience? Like, what was your thoughts from the player standpoint? Because not only did you organize this tournament, but you played in it as well, and you actually put up a very enticing prize for it.
Yeah. I thought it was super super fun to play. I really really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed bidding chains. I think I bid chains in every match that I played. So that was really, really fun. I enjoyed, deciding, what deck was better. It was cool to see what people were bringing and try to figure out if your deck is better than that deck and doing that. I don't know. I just think it's a super fun format. I love playing sealed, and I think it's sort of like the best of Archon and sealed together, right? You can play your deck if you think it's great. You can play someone else's deck if you want, a different experience, and you kind of have control of that really with the chains in some way as well. So yeah, it's super, super fun.
I like that. That's a really cool perspective of it. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting format because I think it brings everything people like about KeyForge. There's something in that format for everybody. If you like playing sealed, you've got that. If you like playing Archon, you've got that. All in one format. So it's really cool. If you like playing Reversal, that's there, right? All in one game. You can have all of those different experiences.
Interesting. Yeah. So was that your strategy going in about like wanting to bid on someone's deck every time? Like, did you choose your deck knowing that you were going to be doing that?
No, I just I chose my deck because I thought it would be fun to play. and I enjoyed playing it. So I did that. Oftentimes, people were bidding on my deck. So like we would both choose my deck, and then I often played other people's decks. Actually, they would bid
Mm.
chains up to my deck. I mean, one of the experience is I think right often when I was playing, my first bid was generally six, no matter what was kind of going on, and people were always like six already. Whoa, man, whoa, slow down there, right? So that was always a oh, six chains. That's so right. That was always a very interesting experience. I did that with in one game where I bid six chains on someone else's deck, and he's like, "Whoa, six chains! That's so much!" Gave it to me, and ended up winning that game because in my experience, those chains come off real fast, right? So
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
it's fun to play that metagame. I think I enjoy playing the chain metagame and seeing how far you can go, how high you can go, and all that. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I'd agree. It is a really fun thing to do. Oh, I lost Stunner with that and Spoils of Battle. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I think that is a fun thing. I had a similar strategy, except not like I decided to choose my opponent's deck because especially in the early rounds, because I thought most people actually I'm gonna be completely honest. One of the reasons why I chose a Coda deck is because I know a lot of people in our meta,
Mm-hmm.
they came into the game and really focused on Worlds Collide. They
Mm.
kind of came at that point. So I knew Coda, and especially the cards in my Coda deck were like not very common cards.
Okay.
So they'd never seen them before. Like things like the Pino Spymaster is super rare, and the what Moon Cursor is the other one.
Mm.
Like they're not really well known. So I thought it kind of threw people a little bit in a way. So
Mm-hmm.
that was part of my reasoning, just to kind of you know, put that as like a like they're like I don't feel comfortable playing this, so I'm not going to play this sort of idea.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point for sure.
And then that's what led me to basically choose to do something like um, choose my opponent's deck,
Mm.
and then I knew they would choose theirs, and then I would go for chains, and I would kind of get a feel based on how they were bidding where I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go too high because I always wanted to play my deck, and I learned from like Ryan and Logotary and Luke told me a lesson actually when I told him the story of us playing,
Mm.
where Ryan basically didn't want to take Frank's deck, and so when he said zero, he said you take it because he was worried about having to take his deck, not about the one chain or anything like that, and then Luke told me a story where he was in an adaptive finals, and he actually ended up um, going against someone, and the end result was that they they went zero and he went one, and they went you take my deck because they knew his deck was better, and so he was
Mm.
stuck with a deck he didn't want to play based on that as a result. So I found that really interesting.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think that's right. Like you do need to quickly make that decision, make that choice of what deck do you think is better
Hmm.
when you are playing adaptive and by how many chains. I know people are like, oh, by how many chains. It can be hard. It can be hard to kind of gauge that at times, but
Yeah,
it is true. If you think your deck is better, that's the deck you probably want to play with, regardless of how many chains you got on it.
yeah, I agree. Oh man, I totally misplayed that round. Could have been in check if I'd been more brained.
It's okay. I've been misplaying all game.
My plan is working. Welcome to Crucible and Cognac.
All right, let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna do this.
So while you're playing, I'll just give everyone a rundown. Like, so the deck that I chose was a Coda deck it was a Gamma Coda deck that I won, and I really wanted to actually get to know this deck better. And so I only played it, I think, 3 times the week before uh, the tournament, and that was just to refamiliarize myself. And I'd maybe only played it like 2 times before that, or like I think the record showed I played it total of 4 times, one tournament and then 2 other times.
Mm.
So like I had really not played it that much, but I was looking at it, and I'm sure you've done this as well. But you get to this point in KeyForge where you kind of realize you really like um, certain themes as you progress in the game. Sometimes because you see someone play a deck, other times it's because you notice that there is like a combo that you never saw before, or like you see other people play a combination of cards. It's not like a combo, but just like when these cards are together, it's really fun.
Hmm.
And then you also have the fact that you have more experience in the game. So when you look at a deck, you're seeing different things. Then the meta has changed. New sets are out. So the cards and the games and the decks that people are playing have now evolved, which makes it a little bit more interesting. Do you feel that like that at all?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think you learn a lot by watching other people play, and I think that does change the way you approach the game. And I think as you play against different people and learn more about the game and how the cards interact and all of that, I think it does. I think you do go through phases of what you like to play, how you want to play, the decks you want to play, styles you want to play. I think
Hmm.
does shift, right? And I think that's the cool thing about KeyForge is you can be a different, like you can change the way you play based on
Right.
the tools you're given, right? And you can have success being a control player, and being a rush player, and being being a shadow steel player, and being whatever, right? You can have different successes with the game with different strategies, um, as you progress through the game, and you can switch back and forth of these different kind of deck archetypes and still be successful. There isn't, as we talked about earlier, there isn't that net decking where this type of deck is going to be dominant within this meta, right? Um,
Right.
and there always is that thought every time a set comes out, right? And when I wasn't around when AOA first came out. I was when Worlds Collide came out, and we saw certain things. I'm like, oh, this is going to be, Saurians are going to be, the bee's knees, and they're going to be something that is going to be overpowered, and it's going to be impossible to beat. And yes, you can have a really really strong Saurian side, but in competitive play that has happened. That hasn't been the case, right? The Saurians
Right.
they've found ways to neutralize the Saurians
Hmm.
over time, and we've seen decks that have been successful, like those, like Justin from Tabletop Royale, his Infernus deck, right? That one Vault Tour, which
The
went,
very first Worlds Collide deck to win a Vault Tour, in fact,
yeah,
had no Thorians or Star Alliance.
exactly, right. It was what's that deck? Shadow Light Tasker Shadows Dis,
And
and
Logos, the
Logos.
classic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Shadows Dis Logos. So super purge heavy, lots of hysterias, very 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 powerful deck. That that's kind of turned the meta on his hand. He made a meta call, and he was really really correct in that.
Yeah.
So I think but I think that shows the versatility of the game, and of course, there's going to be decks that better, that you're going to keep being drawn back to as you go through your KeyForge journey. But that's the cool part about the game, is that you can constantly draw from these different archetypes, constantly round your game out, and be a player that's not just doing one thing over and over again.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm encountering a problem. So I have Secure Droid in my hand, and it won't let me play it as an upgrade because it still counts as a creature, and Quixelstone is like negating the it may be played as an upgrade factor. So I don't know how we make this happen.
Manual mode.
All right, let's see if it'll let me put it as an upgrade. Okay. Yeah, it won't let me do it.
Interesting.
Um Okay, so Jens, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I've done a couple times when things like this happen is basically Console Primus has taunt, so you can't fight into the creatures. We'll just say that because it like really it's all it's doing is providing taunt. It doesn't provide any other benefit.
Yep.
So as long as you remember to fight into console before the other two, I can just discard this.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to get rid of you as well, which is sad.
I'm not sad about that. I'm going to be very honest with you.
I know.
All right. I'm going to play some Dis. And play the creature there. And I will play this creature there.
So, what's the most change you've ever played a deck since we're talking about the adaptive? What's the highest you've ever gone playing a deck?
The highest I ever went was playing down in Lacey. I played the highest chained deck of all time, Ryan Rolson's deck, the Mars,
Right.
the Genka
I
deck.
played that deck too, but I didn't have chains.
And I think it was 12. 12 or 13.
Okay.
I think it was 12. He took my deck. I went like, oh, we went back and forth, and he was like, your deck's faster than mine. You can play it with 12. I was like, dang it. But yeah, that was the highest I've ever played. Fun here. All right, guy's almost dead. So close.
You're supposed to attack Consul Primus first.
Oh, sorry. Goodness, we had that conversation, didn't we?
Yeah. What did you just attack for? Bonesaw.
Bonesaw.
So was a 5 power. So
5 power with 2 assault.
Assault. So it just basically kills Consul Primus, and then I remove 2 damage from Cyberclone, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to manual mode. Sorry, folks, technical difficulties. Luke, why is this doing this? I don't understand.
Luke, help us.
Okay. So I think you actually have to do everything because you're the one who switched on manual mode.
I can't add damage or take damage away. I think you have to do that.
You know what? When we pass around, actually, here, let me switch on manual mode.
Okay.
Let's see if it works there. Select card. Okay, let's just wait till it's my turn, and then I'll do it.
Sounds
good.
It'll
make a difference.
And my turn. There we go.
All right. What am I doing here? Did you increase key cost? You did.
I did, yes. I did.
What increases key cost?
I played the Waking Nightmare, which says keys cost +1 for each disc creature in play during your opponent's next turn.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you now. That guy's taunted. Destroy a friendly creature. Interesting. Yes, let's go Logos. Well, I'm just going to switch off manual mode and switch it back on because it's being silly. Why won't it let me select?
Let me try.
It won't let me do anything.
You have to hit modify tokens.
Got it. Okay.
So
here we go. Remove 1. Remove 1.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
Did manual mode switch off?
It did.
Okay, I'm on a delay over here. All right. So, how long have you been playing the game for now, Jens, would you say?
I started in June of 2019. So 11 months.
June of 2019. Okay. And if as like you're not exactly a new player anymore. I think you're experienced enough. Like what advice would you have someone who's getting into the game or who wants to get into the game? Like what would you tell them?
That's a very interesting question. I think I would tell them to just start, like, just buy a deck and start playing the game. I mean, that's literally what I did. And not be afraid to join a community and see what that looks like. I know we're in strange circumstances right now when that starts back up, but even just buy a deck and check it out. Here on, if you're using the Crucible, come sign up and try a sealed deck on the Crucible and just get a sense of the game. I think that's the best way to do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
as you know, your friend Ed from Call of Discovery says, it is a game of discovery. So get that deck, see what happens, and the game is simple enough to learn that you'll likely pick it up pretty quickly, especially if you're experienced with other games.
Okay. That was really weird. Did it have a card draw bonus? Oh, it did. Okay. Wow, if I didn't have that card draw bonus, this would have fizzled. So that's pretty cool because I had 0 cards. I definitely played some things in the wrong order there, but that's okay. Yeah, let's do this. This looks kind of fun.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if this is the smart play, but it's definitely. Why did it kill that? Oh, because it still had Barrister Joya still had the armor that for some reason it was still keeping that. But shouldn't that have put Barrister Joya back in play for you?
My Joy is purged, so
I thought Cyberclone said, "Oh, it just purges it."
yeah,
That's super cool. Cyberclone's a really cool card, I must say.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's like what was the one from Worlds Collide? Not Replicator, but the one where you play and you turns into a different creature. It's like that, but cooler in some ways.
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, Mimic Gel.
That's the one.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little here. Sorry, folks. I know the card just got smaller. Sorry for this slow play here. It's just discombobulating with things going on. Have you found you are a type of like a player, like you gravitate towards certain decks, or do you like a lot of different decks? And I mean this by like, are you a control player? Do you like to play disruption? Do you like rush decks? Do you like the combo decks? Like what do you find you're drawn to, or are you the type of person like me who thinks variety is the spice of life?
I mean, it seems that a lot of the decks I play have Untamed in it, but they all sort of have different ways to play them. I know you hear Untamed, you think Rush, but I have one sort of untamed deck that focuses on sort of actually logos and archiving a whole bunch of stuff, and then it has the sting, and it interacts in that way, which is super super fun. I have other Untamed, just like classic Rush. I think it's sort of a mixture of combo-y stuff with some sort of control. I think is generally the way I seem to play.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be how I would describe that, I think.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good grief. All right. So yeah. When you're buying decks, are you one to like look on the secondary market, or do you really just like to like crack and see what you can find?
I generally like to crack and see what I can find. I have bought a deck on on the secondary market because I was looking for a specific kind of deck. It was when Worlds was still going to be a thing, and looking to something to round out. I was going to be the Triad seat, so looking for something to round out that Triad seat. So I bought a deck, but generally, it's just fun to buy a sealed deck and see what happens.
That's really cool. I gotta tell you something funny here. So I played Survey, and you know what it came up as? The cards I can choose from are Ducilius and Ducilius.
It's a hard
you can
choice.
choose one or the other. Do I want the art or the words? That's what it comes down to.
I think you want the art. It's always a choice to go for the art.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay, so yeah, there I go. I'm in check. Over to you.
Yeah, this is super good. Let's see.
Hey, if an enemy creature was destroyed.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that.
You can switch houses if you want.
No, I just literally have a handful of creatures. So,
oh,
I think that's that.
Fair enough.
The Quixel Stone wins again.
Yeah, you know what I happen to have in hand is I actually had It's Coming, so discarding the Decilius, I was going to play Decilius next game. I literally have all Saurian cards in my hand. Every single one is a Saurian card.
Beautiful.
Okay, so yeah, I would have literally gone. He says capture all of your opponent's ember, deal 5 to an enemy creature. I also had the thing that says exalt each flank creature, so that would have been fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, honestly, Quixel Stone I think is my favorite deck archetype, but it's hard to like I find when I play against it, like if someone played it against me with the deck I ran on the weekend and I just knew how to play it, I'm like, I'm just going to be selective. And the best part about playing Quixel Stone is when you have less creatures and you just discard creatures so they can't play creatures. Like, especially if you know they have something like Ronnie or something like that and you just decide, I'm just going to leave my board empty.
Yeah, Quixel Stone
hoses it.
It turns it into almost like a different game, you know?
I love it.
It's a mind warping game, a mind warping card for sure. That I think adds a lot of strategy. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. So of course I know you're ready for this question, Jens. I bet you planned this. You have it written down with exactly how you're going to phrase it. Jens says he's listened to all the Crucible and Cognac, so he knows how I end this show, and that is with, if you could have any card in KeyForge, either a creature or the art on it, represent you as your KeyForge spirit animal, what would it be?
I think it would be. I'm sort of drawn to Panpaka Anga, if I'm honest, because I think he's someone that stands up for his friends, and gives them adds power to all the folks in his battle line, and so he gives that skirmish ability to all of his friends to make them work together and be even more powerful towards helping a team out. So I think that's something that actually kind of resonates with me, in terms of how I sort of view life, but also how I kind of like how KeyForge brings people together as well. So yeah, I think it would be that.
Honestly, very accurate. Like when you started describing that and everything you said, I'm like, you know what, that is you. Like I don't just know you online, like I know you in real life. Yeah. So that was a very, like, maybe the best, like, actual spirit KeyForge, although you are the first person I've done this with who's local, so there is that, or I actually know you in person quite well. So yeah, that was a great one. I love that. If people wanted to somehow reach out to you after this, what would be the best way to find you?
The best way to find me would be to randomly run into me here on the Crucible.
All right.
So
perfect.
Find me if I'm playing a game as Jersl. Come and say hello, and I'd be happy to play against you if we see each other.
Excellent. Yeah, that's fantastic. And you can always find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Boulevard Paper Fight, BLVD Paper Fight. And then please do like and subscribe and check out my last Crucible and Cognac with Sky Jedi. And as always, everyone, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.